Hi guys! So like many of my fellow planner addicts, I have been waiting with bated breath since Hobonichi first announced the imminent release of its new 5-year techo back in September. And after an agonizing wait, mine has finally arrived and I'm excited to walk through it with you. The 5-year techo comes in this yellow keepsake box, and you also get this canvas storage bag along with it. Just a quick note, when I saw this on the website, I was worried that this stud looked like it might be leather, so I emailed Hobonichi, and as always, they have impeccable service. They answered very quickly and told me that it's faux leather, so rest assured if you were concerned about that. The box says 2018 through 2022 on it, which is the years that the techo covers. An incredible, awe-inspiring, perhaps fear-instilling prospect for many planner addicts. And then when you open it, you get this little booklet which shows you the layout of the techo and tells you how you might use it and gives you information about what's in the back pages. And then they include this little sample spread, which I think is a very nice touch. It's with the same Tomoe River paper as the techo itself, and you can either use this if you want to do pen tests without messing up the planner, or if you want to do sample layouts. So I think that it's quite nice that they've included that. And now what we've all been waiting for, the techo itself. So here it is. It's A6 and it has this vinyl cover which is very smooth, has a little bit of texture. It looks like a very nice brown faux leather, quite sleek, malleable. You can see it's very bendy. I think it has a really nice feel to it, and they did this so that it would be durable enough that it could last 5 years without needing another cover. People have been comparing them to Bible covers, so they are kind of like soft cover Bible covers that you often see, or Japanese dictionaries. That's something else that comes to mind. So on the front it says Hobonichi, and then it says 5-year techo, and then it's got the years 2018 to 2022 in gold foil, and then on the side it's got the years going down the spine, which I think is a really nice touch, and the back is blank. So it does feel really nice on its own. I'll talk about covers in a minute, but first I just wanted to give you a size comparison to the A6 Hobonichi. So this is the original techo, and you can see that because of the vinyl cover, it's a little bit taller and a little bit wider, so the 5-year techo cover sticks out a bit more, and then you can see that if you look at the side as well. But in terms of paper size, it's identical. They're both A6. Now, one of the biggest differences is obviously the thickness. So the 5-year techo has, I think it's something like 730 pages. I might be wrong about that, but it's quite a bit thicker than the 1-year techo, obviously. And keep in mind that this has a lot of stickers in it, so it's bulked up quite a bit more than, you know, a new one would be. Anyway, so because of this, the 5-year techo does not fit standard A6 Hobonichi covers, which was quite a shock and a blow to me when I first found out about that, because I was thinking, oh, I'll use all of my A6 covers because I'm going to be using this as a gratitude journal and vision book like I was using the A6 yearly techo, and I can just use the same covers. But no. So just to show you, in case you were still holding out any hope, as I was, that it would actually fit, you can see that even without folding it into the sides, it already sticks out here. It's just because it's too thick. So that is really unfortunate. Hobonichi have brought out a couple of covers specifically for this one, but they're leather, so that was very disappointing to me. And I have experimented trying to see if I could get another cover to fit it, and none of the standard sizes that I have will fit. So this is a personal sized Zinidora unicorn, and I thought that might fit because it's a bit taller, but you can see here it's too wide. So it's a close miss, I guess. So if that doesn't bother you, you might be able to use a personal size TN, but I'm just way too type A. That would bug me. I wouldn't be able to stand it. And then I thought maybe B6 will work. So this is a B6 Doki Book Disc Agenda cover. And for me, this is the opposite extreme. It's just too big for the techo. There's too much extra room. It does fit, but I find that really annoying, how there's all that extra room. So I think what I'm going to do, at least for now, is just use it without a cover because, like I said, it is designed to be used that way. So while we're on the subject of accessories, the only other thing that I find to be annoying is that it doesn't have a pen loop. And the pen loop that I was planning to use is this metal clip-on pen loop, which I absolutely love because it's like the Leuchtturm pen loops, but it's removable and it's metal. But sadly, because this cover is quite thin, it's too wobbly. So I'm thinking maybe I could use this and just secure it with washi tape, but in the past when I've done that, it's never worked very well. It usually ends up coming off at some point. So it's not an ideal solution, and I just think that would have looked great. So I'm still thinking about what to do with the pen loop because I always need to have a pen loop. I like to have one pen per planner. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about covers and pen loops, that covers are an issue and pen loops are an issue as well. Obviously, if you got one of the Leuchtturm ones, you could adhere it on because they're sticky, but I don't really want to mess it up by putting a plastic pen loop on it because they're not removable. Anyway, so that's just a bit of extra information about the accessories in case you were wondering. Now, when we get to the inside, you have this very nice piece of end paper, which is a thick cardstock. It's a beige, sort of light brown color, like really nice. You can see a little bit of a pattern to it. I'm sorry about the shadows, by the way, it's a really gloomy day. And then it says Hobonichi Techo 2018 to 2022, which I think is a site that many of us never expected that we would see on a techo. It's incredible. Then there's a blank page, and then you have a section of yearly spread. So this is 2018 on one page. It's the usual Hobonichi font and Hobonichi layout, which is very pleasing to me. It's very much within the typical Hobonichi style here. So Monday start, Sundays are in red, January through December. And then you have the same thing for 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. These spreads are not gridded, by the way, which I think is the difference between the Cousin and the A6 and the weeks, in that the... Oh no, they must have changed it because the A6 is like this as well. I remembered it being gridded. So yeah, through 2022, each one is the same size. And then you go straight into your daily spreads. So something that I really like about this planner is that it's very matter of fact and to the point, and it doesn't have anything extra. So something that I was wondering about when I saw the initial plans is whether it was going to have monthly spreads, because I think that would make a difference to people. If you are thinking about possibly using one of these as an actual planner, a lot of people really like to have a monthly spread. So no, it doesn't have monthly spreads. It's, I think, designed... Well, it's designed to be flexible, as they say, but I think it's really designed more as a memory-keeping journal type book rather than as a planner, although you could definitely use it as a planner. So for me personally, I don't mind not having monthly spreads because, well, first of all, I'm going to use this, like I said, as a gratitude and vision book. So what I'm planning to do is every day write the top highlights of the day here, and then write things that I would like to happen or things that I'm trying to focus on or visualize here. And I'll talk more about how I'm going to do that in a minute. So for me, I don't need a monthly spread. And actually, I was really happy when I heard that this was coming out, because I've been using my A6 Hobonichi for that. And first of all, I feel like there's a lot of wasted space because I don't need the whole A6 spread for that for one day. And secondly, I just wasn't using the monthlies at all. And you know, it's for Planner Addict, it's annoying to have, for many of us, to have wasted space in our planners. So I like the fact that this just has the yearly spreads and then goes straight into the dailies. If you were thinking of using this as a planner, I think that it could work if you just used it as a kind of either an on-the-go to-do list where you didn't really want to do a lot of forward planning or tracking, which is what I use my monthlies for, my planners. Or if you just want to use it to write down appointments. I think it would work better for to-dos than appointments because it's a daily spread, right? So if you use it for appointments, you really have to do a lot of flipping forwards and backwards. Whereas if you use it for to-dos and you just have it on the go, and maybe you could write appointments here and to-dos here, I think that would work pretty well, and you wouldn't need the monthly spread. But again, it's A6, so it is portable, but it's quite chunky. So I'm not really sure how ideal this would be as an on-the-go planner. It definitely would work as an on-the-go planner, but I mean, personally, I'm going to leave mine at home except when I go on a trip, and then I'll take it with me because I'd like to have every day filled in so that I can look back on it later, which is part of the point. But it's not as portable as the original just because it's so much thicker. So for the daily spreads, you have the month and the day at the top. So it's January 1st, 2018, which is a Monday, which I think is just, a huge delight to all of us planner people that the first day of 2018 falls on a Monday this year. And then you have, sorry, never mind, I take that back. This is a Monday. But this is just, it's the first month, the first day is that. And then for 2018, so it has a little box where it says 2018, and then it says Monday there. This one, let's see, this one is definitely Friday. That's Saturday. So it tells you the days of the week for each year. I just can't remember them all because I'm used to seeing them in context, and I've realized that I didn't actually know them as well as I thought I did. So the 2018 is a Monday, and then it will give you that, and then it's the usual gridded Tomoe River paper. In terms of the color, this paper is the same color as the weeks. So if you see, this is my weeks, and you can see that it's quite similar to that. I'd like to say it's identical, but I feel like maybe the weeks is even a little bit more yellowish than this. I think this is slightly less yellowy, but it's definitely more yellowy than the A6 or the cousin. So if you can see those next to each other, let's compare all three of them. There. On a scale from like kind of creamiest to least creamy, you have the weeks is the creamiest, then you have the 5-year techo, and then you have the A6, and the cousin is the same as the A6. So some people feel quite strongly about the paper color in the Hobonichis and prefer the whiter paper on the original and the cousin to the more yellowy paper on the weeks. And if you do, then I'd say this is something in between, but it's closer to the weeks. That's my impression. I don't feel strongly about this. I like both of them. So I'm fine with this, and I don't know why they choose sometimes, in some of the planners they have a more yellowy paper than others. So if anyone knows why they've done that, then I would be interested to know. But the grid size looks to me to be the same as in the original and the cousin. And you've got 6 full lines on the left-hand side per year, right? So each of these sections is the same day in a different year, if that makes sense. So the 1st of January. And then you have an extra line at the top. So you have a 7th line, which is kind of like a header. That's how I think of it anyway. It's almost a full line though. So if you wanted to use this for journaling, you could definitely start here and then just continue all the way down. If you wanted to use it for lists, then, like maybe this would be a header. So like I said, I'm going to use this for highlights of the day / gratitude. So what I'm thinking of doing is using this first line to write something that I'm grateful for, and then the remaining 6 lines to write the best things that happened that day. Because the reason that the idea of a 5-year techo really captivated me in this respect is that I wanted to be able to say in 2021, the idea is that I'll still be using this, and then I'll go back and be able to see what the best things that happened to me on that day, 3 or 4 years earlier were. And I think that is a really nice way of being able to memory keep, which is something that I'm not very good at, and also at the same time focus on the positive. So that's what I'm going to do with the left-hand side. And I really like the fact that it has limited space, because sometimes when I've had a gratitude journal in the past, if it's been like say a whole day per page like this, you feel like you have to fill it up and then you can't, and you just kind of get discouraged. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. There. So on the right hand side, you just have a gridded page with no divisions between the lines. And then it gives you the month, the number of the month on the side, and you can see here that you can flip to the right month like that. There's also a bookmark, by the way, and there's just a single bookmark which is attached. It's a thread bookmark. It's the same color as the cover, and I think that this is really nice, and it's ideal because you only need one bookmark for this book. You're not going to have to flip between monthlies and dailies. You only have the dailies, so I think this will work perfectly. But the issue with this right hand side is that, now I think everybody's been thinking the same thing. If you use this is divided by year, then you most likely would want to have this divided by year as well. So like I said, I was planning to use the left hand side for gratitude and highlights of the day, and the right hand side for vision. So ideally I would want this to match up with this, so that this could be year 1, and then I write like, my 7 lines of vision for that year. Year 2, year 3, year 4. What happened to year 5? Year 5 has a quote. So quotes are a Hobonichi thing that I think some people like them, some people hate them. There might be people who feel indifferent to them, but I am on the side of wishing that they didn't have the quotes, partly because I don't read Japanese, so apart from like the hiragana, I can like sometimes pick out something, a phrase or a word, but I really don't understand it, and so for me it's just wasted space. But even if I did understand the quotes, I still feel like I would rather have the blank space. So if anything, I think they wouldn't have had to get rid of the quotes, but I just wish that they had made them smaller and put them at the top, because at the top on the left you don't have anything. This is just wasted space. I mean, you could write something there like a quote. You could write another quote, or you could track something if you wanted to. But you've got the same amount of space on the right that you could use for a quote, and you could kind of have it spread over the whole top. See, this is like it's sort of chunky because it's only across the first half of the page. So if you spread it over the whole thing, and I know sometimes it probably doesn't work because it's like in lines for artistic effect, but if they'd used that for the quote, then we would have had our perfect lineup here where the 5 years would match on each side of the page, and then everyone would be happy, I think. But they haven't done it like that. So this whole bottom you can't use, and by the time you get to the 5th year, you don't have any more space. So obviously it depends on what you want to use this for. If you wanted to use it for something more freeform, like maybe you would put a doodle in here every year, and then you could kind of space it so that you have enough room for 5 years. But I think a lot of people probably want to use it as a sort of continuation of this left-hand side. I guess something else you could do is divide it into columns. So like say you could use it, I don't know, as a tracker or something where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would work as well, but it's a bit more work, because the obvious intuitive thing would be to have the right match up with the left, like it does in the weeks. So in the weeks, you've got the same amount of space on the right hand side as on the left, and I think that would have been ideal if they'd done it like that. So my solution to this is that so if you count the number of gridded lines, I think it works out to 32, which is a little bit less than what it is here. But basically my idea was that if I start at the top, so they are going to be a little bit misaligned, but whatever, that's okay. And I give myself 6 spaces per year. Then I have 5 times 6, which ends up at 30, I think. and so basically by the time I get down to here, this is my 5th year. So year 1 will be like this, year 2 like this, year 3, year 4, and year 5. So it does actually work. So for my purposes, it's okay. It's not as good as if they matched up, because I think that would be tidier, and I would like that. But it's all right. So that's how I'm going to deal with this right-hand side. But I think that this is the major complaint, just from what I've heard people commenting on up until now about, you know, just kind of feelings about how to use it, is that it would be much more useful if the quote were not here. Anyway, that's enough of my rant about the quote. But so I think it is possible to get around it, but you just have to use this in a slightly different way than you would if they had, you know, just made this whole thing gridded. So another thing that you'll probably see is that it's monochrome. Everything is gray, black. It's kind of borderline between gray and black, I would say. It's probably black, I guess, but it feels like slightly gray, the way it looks. It could be the way it interacts with the color of the paper. So the point is that it's not like the cousin and the original where the months each have their own color. And I was actually hoping that that was what they were going to do. I thought it would be nice if this was colorful and it had the same color schemes as the original and the cousin. But I'm fine with it as it is. It's very neutral, so if you did want to decorate it, you can, and you know, nothing will interfere with that. So basically the whole thing looks like this. Obviously you get a quote every day, and it just keeps on telling you the month and the day, and then you have your 5 years with the day of the week. And the quotes all seem to be pretty long on this. So here's one that's a bit shorter, but usually they look more like this, so they do really take up a lot of the room at the bottom. But you still have a bit of extra space on the right-hand side in some cases, not in all cases. And it just continues like that. So in terms of decoration, I'm not planning to decorate this. I think because it's already so chunky and the Tomoe River paper is so thin, my concern would be if you decorated this a lot, you would just end up with this massive chunky book that would turn into like a bowling ball by the end of the 5 years, but probably by the end of the first year already. So I think maybe one of those clear stickers, you know, like the clear diary stickers, wouldn't take up much bulk, but I am not going to decorate this. And it just continues on like that. So you've got the whole year. It doesn't do anything like mark Sundays or holidays. I think probably just because there are 5 years, I can't see any indication of anything like that. And really, again, I think that the idea of this is supposed to be that it's more of a memory keeper or a journal rather than a really functional planner, because, you know, having a planner for 5 years is just probably not sustainable for most of us. So this is the last spread, the 31st of December, 2018 through 2022. And then when you get to the end, you have 1 page per year. So this is 2018, and then it's just a blank grid, and at the bottom it says bookmark. Then you get the same thing for 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. So you have a little bit of extra note paper, which you could use in all kinds of different ways. So if you were using this as a planner, because for some reason, even though I'm not going to use it as a planner, I'm always really attracted to the idea of using this as a planner. I think just because the idea of having a 5-year planner just seems like an impossible yet ridiculously appealing challenge for a planner addict. And the idea of having this book that you carry around with you through thick and thin, not just for 1 year, but for 5 years, is totally amazing, and I love it. So if you were using this as a planner, you could use this to write down supplementary information that you needed for reference, basically, that you might refer back to over the whole year, like phone numbers, email addresses, things like that. And I think that that could be quite convenient, because if you have that for 5 years, then instead of having to keep things in a separate booklet like I do, or transfer over from year to year, if you write down someone's email address or something, you would have it here and you'd be able to refer back to it for the rest of the 5 years. Or you could keep it for something like making, let's say, a budget or a wish list or something. Because you've got this for 5 years, I feel like there's a lot of pressure to decide the perfect ideal thing that you want to do with this, and so I'm probably going to end up leaving mine blank because I'll be paralyzed with fear of getting it wrong. Again, because it's a vision book and gratitude journal, for me, I don't really need any extras, but if you were using this as a planner, then, you know, there are all these different options. 2019, 2020, 2021, etc. I think you could also use it like to record, say, major landmarks that happen through the year, or you could use it as an index. I think that might be an interesting way to use it, depending on what you're doing with this. But like, say you're using it as a diary, if something particularly momentous happened at a particular time, you could then use this as an index for 2018. So I think that's quite cool. And then remember, this is just a gridded page with nothing on it. So you could use that for whatever you want. That could be an index for the whole thing. Then we have a list of gifts, addresses for 6 people, my list, which has 8 different ones. So this is not divided, the numbers don't correspond to the number of years, because otherwise you would have 5. So it's just 8 lists. And so you could use this really for, like, say, lists of films that you want to see, TV shows that you want to watch, books you want to read, etc. Again, it really depends what you're using this for, but I think the fact that they've put these things in is quite a nice touch, because it means that it's flexible. So if you did want to use it as something other than a memory keeper or a journal, you have got a little bit of flexibility to work with at the back. Of course, if you're using it as a memory keeper, you could also make lists of things like, I don't know, your top 10 films of the year, like whatever, that would feed into the memory keeping. So I think maybe for me, I would like to use this just because I feel like, since it's so streamlined in that it doesn't have a lot of extraneous information, I'd kind of like to use the whole thing and take advantage of all different parts of it. So I think for this, I would probably use this as a list of, like, say, I don't know, top 10 moments of the year or things that happened that year, and there are 10 of these, so you could do like kind of almost one a month, but there's more than 5 sections here, so you know, it could really like kind of, I could say that's 2018 to 2019 or something, and you know, kind of play with it that way. So I think that's a possibility. And then you have this little condensed history of the world, or history of humans, and then you have the traditional back page that you get in all the different Hobonichis, where it's got the personal details page, and then you have this back cardstock end page, and that's it. So in terms of the paper quality, obviously it's Tomoe River paper, so I haven't done a pen test in here because you know, I think everyone knows how Tomoe River paper works. It's exactly the same as the other techos. So my main challenge before the beginning of the year is to figure out what I'm going to do about a pen loop. But other than that, I'm just really excited for January 1st so that I can move into this. So I hope that this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about this that I haven't covered in the video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!